everyone, though, is if you find yourself with a document and you need to replicate it, how do I find out how big it is? You want to go in File, Document Setup, wait, in InDesign. Oh, this is actually a video. I understand why InDesign wasn't there. Sorry, I was looking at a video. I thought I was looking at an InDesign document. They were identical. So you want to go in File, Document Setup right here. And here it tells you that you have 2 pages. You start from page 2. So you avoid, you remember earlier when I created 9 pages that there was one single page? Do you guys remember that? But I don't need that one. And you could still not worry about starting from page 2 and then export only the PDF of page 2 and 3. You follow me, right? You can do it that way. You can decide if you want to have 2 pages and starting on page 2 or 3 pages and start in page 1. Let me show you what I mean. So you could do File, New Document, and you can say, hey, I'm going to choose a letter size right here, and I'm going to have 3 pages, and you obviously want facing pages because the magazine layout, magazine has that fold in the middle and stuff. And let's just for now say create. So I have basically 3 pages set up. You hit create, and you'll see that what you have is this. And what you can do is create your magazine spread on page 2 and 3, and then when it's time to export it as a PDF, do File, Export, because you'll have to turn in PDFs, and say, let's call it Boo for the sake of it, and say, and for print is good. You can see that there's an option that says interactive, EPUB. Just keep it for print because this is a magazine. If you hit save, you're given this prompt, right? This interface. And in that interface, you need to specify that you want it to be spread right here. But you also can say that you don't want all, you want to range and specify that you want 2 and 3. So you don't want the PDF to capture page 1 because in this document, page 1 will have nothing in it, right? So you want it just to export what you did on page 2 and 3. And you hit export, and it will make a PDF of page 2 and 3, right? Or what you can do instead, I'm going to close this one, is say, okay, I'm going to do File, New Document. Again, go for print, letter, facing pages. But you can say I want 2 pages, and I want to start from 2. So let's see what happens if I do that. It creates, if you go on the Pages palette, just 2 and 3. And you act on that. And then when you export, you go and say File, Export as a PDF. And in this case, right here, leave all pages, but make sure you check Spread. So it takes both, it treats it as one spread with a fold in the middle. If you don't check Spread, it will take these and break them. Is everybody with me? So those are the 2 options. One is to have basically that 1 page solo, but ignore it when you export it as a PDF. And the other option is to start by saying you want only 2 pages, but you start from page 2. So because it's a facing pages layout, when you start it, you say you want a facing pages, it will create page 2 and 3 and not have page 1 in there. All right? I know it sounds a little complicated, but it's not. All right, let me get rid of this. Sorry, what did I do? Oh, don't save, sorry. So let's start this. This is what we're going to do eventually, right? So I'm going to go in and say File, New, Document. Let's go for print. Let's choose letter. I'm going to say facing pages. I'm going to say I want 2 pages and start from 2. I don't like to have the blank page above. I mean, it doesn't matter, as I said, if you don't export it, but it's kind of an extra piece that you don't want. Don't worry about columns, because when we need columns, I'll show you how to get them there. But you remember that one of these, I think the bottom was, instead of 3 picas, was 5 picas. So what you want to do is unlink everything, so that, because otherwise when you change the 5 here, it'll change it all around, and put 5 in there. So you have 3 for the top, 5 for the bottom. You want to have extra because that way is where you put the page numbering. Inside and outside 3. bleed and slug. So you do want a bleed, and you want it to be 0.125 inches. And that's, by the way, 1/8 of an inch. That is 0 picas and 9. So if you want to keep it in picas, but as I said, I do because it doesn't bother me. I do not need a slug. That means an extra bunch of white space around my document because I'm not going to give this to colleagues or need to write notes or anything. And so remember, you want to have facing pages, 2 and 2, unchecked primary text frame because we have heavily images, right? It's not all text, and so I can do the text where I want it. Leave the columns alone. Make sure you have bottom 5 picas for the margin and a little bit of bleed, 1/8 of an inch of a bleed, that is 0.125 IN, that automatically InDesign converts it to picas, but I don't care. Create. So we're going to bounce back and forth to see what we need to do here. So what we need to do is let's bring in the figure first and foremost. So I'm going to do Command D. And I'm going to go into my magazine layout thing. Where is it? Sorry, guys, I've got to find it. Too much stuff in here. There it is, InDesign magazine. So I'm going to go in and grab the PSD file, fashion shot. Reason why is because I already got rid of the pink, the background. I already put an alpha channel in there that I can use it later to do a text wrap, and et cetera, et cetera. And I'm going to hit open, and then I'm going to zoom out and put it here. Now notice that I have a bleed. You see all that little red line all around it? Means you can put your images going outside of your page, no problem, because I will handle it, because that's what it's telling you. So I'm going to move it up. And as you can see, one of the feet is cut. So what I might have to do is I might have to go with the white arrow, grab the image with that. Now the box is brown, and scale it down a little bit, right? So I can bring it in. Remember, it's going to only print up to this line, the red line. And as I said, I can go and check the example I have. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I see some of her hair and a little bit of the neck. Pretty good. That's kind of how I want it. Maybe he's a little bit even too big still, but close enough. Let me see how the feet are in the example. Well, they're up, so it needs to be scaled a little bit down, a little bit more. No big deal. Again. So let me go with the white arrow. Sorry, I zoomed in so I can see what I'm doing a little bit better. There we are. Okay. I didn't do a very good job in selecting the boots there, but it's probably just because it's a demo. It doesn't matter that much. Is everybody with me so far, right? Stop me if you're not. So I'm going to go in the layers. And I know that this woman, I'm going to select her with the black arrow, the entire image, needs to be at the top. I know that. So I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to move it up, and I'm going to rename it Girl. All right, on this layer, I can put all the various fancy, jazzy, all these rectangular things, right? So what I might do is I first put the black one, up to a certain point. And I could put guides, but right now let's eyeball it because it's not a masterpiece. So I'm going to put the black one that goes all the way, that goes across the entire first page and pretty much almost like past half of the second page, right? Do you remember that? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and grab this shape, not the one with the X that would allow you to use it as an image. I don't need that. I'm going to grab the rectangle. I'm going to make sure I select black as the color right here. And then I'm going to go in and pretty much go all the way to about here. Now I just realized, and obviously you want to put it behind the girl, right? So you grab with that. If you look in the layers, right now you have a bright red square there that is representative of what I just drew. But if you put it and drag it down, now it's behind the girl. Now, I think the girl is too close, though, to the edge of the page because I need to have some text there. So I'm going to take the girl, right, you see that, select the girl, and move it back a little bit. So that way, and again, let's look at the example. Yeah, actually, her foot is across the fold. That is totally fine. So I'm going to keep going. like this. So I have enough space here to do the text, right? That means this black thing might need to be tucked in this way. And it might need to be shortened a little bit. So it's not, we see the girl. So on this one, I'll eventually put some text, right? So obviously I'm going to let you go crazy on the rest, on creating all the background. What I can tell you is you need to create one more layer that includes all the rectangle. You can see here I have all the rectangles that are at the very bottom, right? So you have the girls at the top, then you have the rectangles at the bottom, and the text even above the girl, even though it doesn't need to be, is up to you. But the bottom line, you have to have it set up with these amount of layers at least. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create another layer, and I'm going to call it rectangles. And then I'm going to create another layer, and I'm going to call it text. So I know that layer 1, that is the black rectangle, though, needs to be above the other rectangle. So I'm going to move it like this. The girl needs to be on top, and right here I do all my shenanigan of crazy rectangles I want. So I make sure I generally lock all the other, so I know I cannot fuss with it. And I go under rectangles, and now I go in there and say, hey, look, I think there's one rectangle that goes from here to basically where her thumb is. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to make it eventually pink or whatever I want it to be. So it goes from like about here all the way to her thumb, and make sure you stretch it across the bleed and give it the color you like best, like baby blue, green, pink, whatever you like. I'm going to give it kind of a green color. And then you need to go in here, and I'm going to do it, I'm going to let you to do it free. I mean, don't follow me, do whatever rectangle you want. But you can see that I have the pink one, that I have a yellow and a blue, one smaller than the other. So I'm going to continue doing that. And I say, okay, that's the pink. I'm going to go in, sorry, the pink. In my case, it's green. But you know what I mean? I'm changing colors just because I like to change everything in my life. So I'm going to go in with another rectangle right here. Click and drag like this. And that's going to be maybe a kind of like off-white or pink tone. And then I'm going to have one very skinny rectangle that pops a little, that is, and I'm always obsessed with colors, means I want color to be amazing, but I'm going to try not to today because too dark. Sorry. I want it dark, but not that dark. Okay. I do not like the pink now. I told you I'm trying not to go crazy with the colors, but I do always kind of tend to be finicky with colors. So let me make this one more like an ochre and see if it works better. Yeah. All right, so I have these three now, the vertical one. So I need these horizontal right now. So I need one that goes all across completely, and then two little ones of those two colors. That's cool. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab again the rectangle, and there is one that goes all across starting here to the end. So it goes from here to the very end to the bleed. And I'm going to make that a kind of a blue or a purple color. There we are. And then these, I have two rectangles here. They're actually these two colors, the burgundy and the red. How do I save these colors? Well, I go, as we have in Illustrator, into the swatches palette. Let me see if I find the swatches right here. And instead of dragging it from here into the palette, you can go in here and say new color swatch. And you say OK, and it will have added it right there. Same for this one. I'm going to say new color swatch, and it's going to say OK, and it's in there. So now I can go in with my rectangles right here and say I'm going to make one that is bigger, that is the yellow color, and one that is a little bit smaller, that is the burgundy color. All right. Now, what else do we need? Maybe this one would be nice, a little bit stronger. Sorry, this one is kind of would be nice to have it a little bit darker. I told you I'm not going to finick with color, but as I said, I cannot help it. All right, let's say these are the right colors. So now what I need to do is go back in here and check on the text. First of all, the black box is a little bit higher. You see the position of her hand. So I'm going to go back into my layers. Now release all the locked stuff because it won't let me move it. Grab the black box and move it up. Because if you go and look in this example, you see the fingers are barely out of that box. So you want to do that. And then now it's kind of time to put the text. If you want to do W shows you the preview of when it's going to print. So you can kind of catch stuff, right, with all the boxes and margins. And I can catch that right here. I have a problem. The burgundy, oh, shoot, 1 second. The burgundy is sticking out too much. So do the W thing. Hit W again. Grab that box. I don't know why I cannot grab. Okay, let me actually, again, lock everything else because it's basically when I try to select it, is grabbing something else and fix it. And maybe you want it more rectangular, more like a square. In that case, make it a little bit bigger. There we are. So you can catch stuff that you wouldn't catch if you stayed in this working mode. When you hit W, you go into preview mode. How is it going to preview? How is it going to print, basically? Everybody with me so far? And as I said, I'll have a nice video, the one I'm just recording now. Okay, so let's go in and put some text. So I'm going to be really lazy. I'm going to double click on the existing stuff and say Command Copy. And then place it, right? You know, have something in my, so I'm going to use the T tool, click and drag, and do Command V that I had in my clipboard, as you know. Hello, beautiful. Now, I don't like the italic, so I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to use Athelas, but instead of bolded italic, I'm going to use just bold. So you can obviously reformat it, but then you start ending up sometimes with this, because the italic is smaller, and now this is a little bit bigger. So you can obviously extend the box, or you can go in there and say, instead of 48 points, it's 47, whatever you like. But you basically start creating type, right? Same here. I'm going to go in and Command, copy, and then I go in and paste it. Now, I'll show you for the bigger text what you can do instead. If you have a lot of text, so you don't have to copy and paste, or if you don't have anything to copy and paste, I'll show you in a minute what you can do. Oops, sorry. I was trying to be right here. So I'm going to go in again with the text, click and drag, Command V. No, you, but I love Edgar a whole lot. Great writer. Don't like the difference between these two fonts. No big deal. Go in and choose something else. Maybe you're like this one better. I don't know if I need the by capitalized. The word by is not that important, but let's say this is good, right? Now, let's say I want to put something in here, like that goes across right here. So I go with my text box, and then I control click on that cursor. And in here, there's something that says fill with bogus text, basically. It would be better you had actually some good fill with placeholder text. It would be nice if you had like nice text. Now, you don't see anything because the text is black against a black background, so you need to do Command A that selects it, and then you go in here and say, hey, actually, I want white. Oh, it didn't do it. Why? Oh, I know why. What's the problem? It is white. It's telling me it's white. So what do you think is the problem? Lydia? What did you say?
You did the fill, not the stroke.
Oh, that's a possibility, but there's another bigger problem. You're right, possibly. But I'll see it. I need to see the text if that's the problem. Well, my text is at the bottom of everything. It's below rectangles. So you want to move it up to text. Sorry. Oh, it's obviously locked, so I need to unlock it. And then I can finally move it up to text. Well, you can see actually, even if it's, if it's the fill, it works. I mean, it's too much text, obviously. So I'm going to go in and say, look, I'm going to delete a big chunk. I'm going to just take this one, make it a lot bigger, right? Because just a quote, so it should be a little bit bigger. Make sure if is 20, I have 25 or 26, maybe 28 in spacing. I'm going to give it a little bit of a tracking so it's more readable. Maybe it needs to be a little bit bold because I can barely read it. And I'm going to make it Athelas because it's my favorite font. Example. I think because the one above is Athelas. And remember, guys, try to use, unless you're a pro at fonts, try to use not that many fonts. Let's actually have this and see if it works. All right. So that's kind of how this goes. So we're getting a little bit closer to our layout right here. And then you do the same thing here, right, for this one, with the difference that you have the foot. So this time you go in and say, let me actually copy this one, Command A, Command copy, and move it here. So I don't have to do another placeholder text and delete and reformat. Even though this is too much, maybe let me actually select just the first sentence here. These are all placeholders for now. Then you put the real good text. But let me do the same right here. Let me make sure I am on text. Yes, I am. Command V. So that's my other quote. Now, as often, you'll be a point and you say, oh gosh, obviously my text is clipped. So you can extend it, or you can select it and reformat it to be a little bit smaller. It doesn't have to be that big, maybe, right? And in that case, you want to also change the distance between the lines. But you see, now I don't have the plus sign that is an indicator of a mistake, right? Maybe that's kind of what I want in there. Command 0. So we have that. And this obviously could be maybe, say, let's make this text. One second. Let me lock girl so I can get to the text. And maybe let's make it more like that yellow. Let's see if it stands out enough just to jazz it up a little bit. Well, yellow and purple are pretty cool. I like that combination. I like my colors now. You see, I'm not that demanding. I always think I'm picky with colors, and probably I am. All right, so we're getting there. So now we obviously need the text here. We need the one column here, and then we need to do a text wrap. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, again, go back into layers. Where are layers? Right here. And I'm going to actually lock the other two, so I make sure I put everything on text. I'm going to go in and create my, basically a box. This time is a text box. So I'm going to go in, put it, actually, any box will do. Let's actually go with the rectangle tool. Create a box down here. Then do what I taught you to do. Let me actually just have the stroke around it. And go and say object content and hit text right there. So now this is a text box. Now go with the black arrow. I'm going to actually remove the stroke because I don't want a stroke or a fill. But I'm going to control click on it. And when you control click on it, one of your options is to make it into two columns. Text frame options. If you go in there, you can say I want actually two columns and leave the gutter as the default. There is one picas. But if you control click on the box, you have this text frame options that allows you to make it into a two columns box. And then again, you control click and say fill with placeholder text. Boom. And now you have the two columns, you have your text, and then it's a matter of formatting it however you want. You double click on it and say, hey, look, I want it to be 11 points. I want you to have space 15. I want it to have, because Enrica always told me a little tracking really help. You can always increase the size of the box. You can control click and increase the size of the gutter. It means this can be all up to whatever you want it. You might say, well, it's too small compared to the other tags. I'm going to make it 12. In that case, I'm going to increase a little bit the spacing of the leading. So you see we're getting closer and closer to that final result right here, right? It uses a different font here, but big deal. So all we have to do is this and the page numbering. Now we've done enough now that I'm going to say Command S for save. And I'm going to put it in that magazine, InDesign magazine something folder. And I'm going to call it demo class 1 art 18205. That is your class. You see, I'm right now, actually, what am I saving it? Yeah, I'm saving it inside InDesign first class folder. It's just a loose InDesign file, so I haven't packaged it yet, so it's not going to go anywhere. But before I package it, I have to get it done. All right, so I'm going to go back into InDesign and making another rectangle up here. And do what I did earlier, right? I'm going to go in, make it close right here. Go and say object, content, text. I'm going to remove the fill and the stroke. Control click on my box, and I don't need 2 columns here. I just need to fill it with placeholder text, right? And then I need to double click on it, say Command A, make it whatever size you want and whatever font you want. Maybe let's go Athelas regular. It's too small though, 11, definitely. And always try to, like if this was 12, makes this 12 too. Don't use a bunch of extra font sizes just because you can. You know what I mean? Try to be considerate. And by the way, if you do W, you're going to start kind of seeing all the boxes in case you need it. Now there's a little bit too much text here, and since it's placeholder, I'm going to just take some out. Or obviously you can keep formatting into whatever you want, but this is good enough. So I'm going to try to stay within the margin. That's why I hit W. It was to see the margin. I'm going to try to leave a consistent margin around, right? Like this one needs to be hello beautiful, needs to be tucked in a little bit. Oh, I think it's in one of the other, sorry, is in one of the other layers because I couldn't select it. Yeah, it's in the wrong place. So I'm going to move it to text. And I'm going to tuck it in. So I'm trying to also at the end wrap things up by looking at the margins and make sure I honor those, right? Okay, so with this now let me actually lock everything up again so I can select this. I'm going to actually release the lock on the girl and shift click on the girl. So I select the box, the text box, and I select the file with the girl. And then I'm going to go in object, clipping, right? Clipping path. Wait. No, I don't need to select the text. I just need to select the figure. I apologize. So you select the figure. Sorry, do you remember where you select the text and then the figure? In Illustrator. Do you guys remember that? In Illustrator, to do text wrap, you have to have both. In the case of InDesign, you don't have to. You select the object, and whenever you tell InDesign, honor the alpha channel, or honor the detection of the edges, it will automatically make the text or whatever is around honor it. All right, so select the figure with the black arrow because you select the whole image, and then you go under object clipping, right? Clipping path options. And in there it says none, but if you say, hey, go to the alpha channel, you see that now it's starting to do it. And then you have to spell out the frame size and stuff. So let's say I put 1 picas in there. I don't know why it's not doing it. Let me basically tinker with that interface. This is cutting in. You don't want to cut in. Sorry, I don't know why it's not giving the inset frame means it's the spacing here that it should alpha 1. Alpha channel, alpha 1 is my thing. And then include inside edges. I don't know why it's not working right now. I got to figure it out. What's the story there? Let me see if I say detect edges. What does it do? So yeah, I need to kind of figure out why at the moment is stuck. Let me hit cancel and redo it actually. Generally is pretty no-brainer, so I don't know why right now it's being a bit finicky. That is, once you select the image and specify that you want to honor the alpha channel or the edges, it generally just kicks in, no problem. Alpha channels. And, well, for some reason it's not responding. Oh, I know why. Preview. Oops. Sorry. So right now, yeah, there it is. So this is how many anchors you want around. And here, you should, in set frame, it should allow you to select, let's say we put 3 picas in there. that is the spacing, but it's not doing it for some reason. It's actually, let's see. Wow. Okay. Well, it's somehow stuck. I have no idea why it does that. Means it's not supposed to. But I'll as I said, I'll figure out a way to make it work. I don't know why. As I said, it's the first version of InDesign in which this is finicky at all. So I'll fix it, and I'll let you know next class how to get done. Does it give you the same problem I have, or is it because it could be my computer too? Well, remember, every version of InDesign might have a different way to handle stuff. For some reason, right now, this one, the 2026, is giving a hard time on something that is so straightforward generally. All right. So I'm going to finagle with the setting until I get it right. Or instead of finagle with the setting, let me stop the video, finagle with the setting, and then make another video of how to fix that issue. But you see, we're getting really close. We just need to do that text wrap with the alpha channel, or the text edges if you did not have an alpha channel. If you have a figure that has a high contrast against the background is black and the figure is mostly white, then you can just use also detect edges. As I said, I'll make sure to let you know what in that interface at the moment is glitchy. It's always been straightforward. Again, at the end, hit W, so you see your image as is going to be printed. And obviously, if you have no errors right here, you want to go and say File, Package right now, right here, and choose to package it. Always tells you to save it, sure. And then where do I put it? I put it in demo. See, it calls a demo class a folder, and I'm going to put it in that InDesign magazine thing under. Let's see, where is it? InDesign magazine spread demo, and center. Well, let's put it here and just loose, because it's as the name of your class, that is a demo for the first class. I'm going to hit package and OK. Now, what if I want to make it into a PDF? What do I do next? File, export, or Command E. And like I showed you earlier, if you're doing a PDF for print, say save, put it in the right spot, obviously, and say save. And here, you can choose, let's leave it to high quality print for the matter. I mean, there are different options, but you might want to take a print class to understand deeply all of those, even though the settings, if you choose a different setting, here it tells you what it's for. But again, it makes a lot more sense if you've taken a print class. So what you want to do here is you want to do all pages. Very key is that you hit spread, because if you don't hit spread, it will separate the two pages, right? And what else? I think going compression. If your images are already, compressed, that means they're not. Let's say you don't have 1200 pixels, resolution. You have 300 or less, then you can leave all this alone and then hit export, and it made a PDF. Trust me, didn't show it. And then here it also allow you to do export for Adobe Express, but that's a different story. For right now, I just wanted to show you how to make a PDF. So right now, if I go and look, one second, into my desktop, under here, I should have the one with your class name right here that has the InDesign document, the document font I used, the links I use is just that image, and everything. And I don't know what I did with the PDF. Shoot. I must have put it in the wrong place. So sorry. Well, let's redo it, right? No biggie. Sorry, I did not browse to where I needed to be. So I'm going to do the export or Command E. Actually, let's do Command E. That is what I generally do anyway. Where did we put it? I thought I did put it. Oh, no, not in here. It has to be in... right here, sorry guys, and this one. Okay, now it'll work. It'll be where it needs to be. I try to keep everything in the same folder. The package also gets the PDF, because it's just easier that way. You don't have to hunt, right? So when I go in here now, I should have your number, and there it is. This is the PDF we made, and when you double click, it opens in Acrobat Reader, and life is good. As I said, I'll come back to this little glitch of the wrapping around the hand of the image through an alpha channels. All right, close all tabs. Let me turn off the